Hello, it's Dovey. A bit of a different video today. I wanted to make this separate from the usual things. I want to talk about empathy. This is my preach of the week, I guess. I've been in conversations with a few people over the past couple weeks just for various things that have been going on in their lives. One person's experience in the hospital, and just talking to friends about struggles that they're going through in various ways, monetarily or physically or mentally, and there's kind of an overarching theme with the things that are happening to them, and it's a lack of empathy. If you don't know what empathy is specifically, it's the ability to feel other people's pain, as opposed to being sad for other people, which is sympathy. Empathy is feeling what they feel, and it is something that we just have a severe lack of, unfortunately, in just our daily lives, our daily worlds. To give a little preamble, I guess, since I'm Jewish, I think about these things in terms of the Torah or the Bible, and one of the core things that Jews have to remember is the Exodus from Egypt, Yetzias Mitzrayim, God taking us from slavery to freedom, and eventually giving us the Torah, and eventually going to Israel and becoming a nation. And this is the Exodus is something that is mentioned pretty much whenever we do anything. When we pray, when we have any of our holidays, we relate it back to the Exodus. The Sabbath is related back to the Exodus. Everything. And there are several reasons for that. One is just to remember, the debt that we have to God for making us who we are. But another one that is brought up is the idea of empathy. One of the verses, one of the psukim says, to paraphrase, you should be kind to the stranger in your midst, because you should remember that you were once strangers in the land of Egypt, in a foreign land. And there's a few times where it talks about being kind to the downtrodden, and the orphans and the poor, and people who have just worse situations than you. And it comes back to the idea of empathy, because part of our experience of being slaves in Egypt was to give us a national sense of empathy, that we were at the lowest of the lows. So we understand, and the Jews over the years have been at the lowest of the lows many times, unfortunately, but we are in a unique position to understand how that feels, and therefore should act upon it in regards to other people. And this isn't something that should be exclusive to Jews. Other people should feel it, but I'm saying from a personal standpoint, this is something that is ingrained as one of the basic tenets of Judaism is remember the less fortunate than you, because you were once in that position. And it's an idea of empathy, and it's severely lacking, unfortunately. One of the conversations I'm having with a friend is that, just because of COVID, especially lately, but also over the bunch of years before that, because of politics and other things, but people have been really ground down. Sides are taken when there shouldn't be sides, and everyone has started to develop a mentality of every person for themselves. the way that we deal with, we've seen with people having to wear masks or get vaccinated is, I'm going to be inconvenienced, and therefore I should put myself and everyone around me at danger, as one of the ways that people justify doing dangerous activities. It's an inconvenience, and that's a lack of empathy. You don't consider the fact that the people around you might be immunocompromised or have a higher risk of being affected by these things, and you're only thinking about yourself, and it's wrong. It's important to think about yourself and your own safety, but there's an equal importance to be aware of the troubles of the people around you. And so that's one of the things. And just with hospital experiences that I and people that I know have had, where you're treated, you're in the hospital. You're not in the hospital because you are feeling perfect and you're just trying to, you felt on a whim that you just wanted to run up a really high bill that either the insurance will pay or you will. It's just one of those things that people do, obviously. You go to the hospital because you're unwell, and when you're treated like, you're not feeling as badly as you are, then there's a problem, because then you don't get the care you need. And it's the same even out of the hospital when people tell you that they're not feeling well, or they're not doing well, and you write it off, or you say I have my own problems, or you just don't care, then it makes their lives significantly worse, because they're obviously trying to get some sort of help in some way. And the same thing is with if someone is trying to make their life better in some way, and you're just not receptive to it at all. If they're trying to raise money and they need help, or they're trying to better themselves physically or mentally, or anything that a person needs to do in order to find a job or something, and you're in a position to help out in some way, but you just don't, or you start not only not helping but working against them in some way because of whatever reason. It's a lack of empathy. It's a basic human function to have to feel for the people around you, otherwise society just stops working. And I've unfortunately seen this a lot, and not just with people's health, but just with their personal lives. People who have different lifestyles than you, and those lifestyles might not be the one you agree with, or just have nothing to do with you. Some people are just apathetic as opposed to antagonistic. But if it's something that's important to someone, and it is something that that's dependent on their mental and physical health, then it's incumbent on you to do what you can to help them out, or to not hinder them in whatever ways are possible. I've seen so many people that just decide that because someone is different than them, either religiously or sexually or whatever, racially, that means that they no longer have an obligation to treat them as a human being, or to care about their troubles. And it's crazy. It's insane to do that. And it might be obvious for some people that of course it's insane, but for other people they're like, yeah, well, of course I'm very dedicated to my family, but like those people, they're different than me politically or whatever, so therefore I don't have to do anything for them. That's someone else's problem now. That's not my problem. That's not how things work. And it goes back to the idea of, you the with the Jews, it was that you were slaves in the land of Egypt. You were strangers in a strange land. You should understand how it feels to be the stranger in a situation. But like with anybody, I don't think anybody has had the perfect life where they've never felt out of sorts. And I guess there are people that are like that, and then they're the ones that make the problems. But like, for most of us, you and me looking over here, the people that actually watch this video, I think you understand that you've had parts of your life where you just feel like you're the person that's ignored or downtrodden or whatever. And that should give you perspective for the people around you, that those people that you see, that you interact with, they've had the experiences you've had in some way or another. Maybe not as bad. I don't think everybody around me has had cancer and back surgery and everything that comes with that. But I know that people have had health problems. I know that people have had pain, and I know that people have had social issues. And the fact that a lot of people just can't get past themselves in order to do so is a problem. And it's a really easy solution. The solution is empathy. You, instead of judging someone when you see that they're having trouble and they're talking about it, or anything is presented to you that is outside of yourself, and you ask yourself, instead of saying, God, why won't they shut up? Or this person is complaining about X, but I've had X, Y, and Z. It shouldn't be a competition. It should be, oh, I've had X, Y, and Z, so I know kind of how that feels, so I should do something. And not everyone can do everything to help everyone. That's not, unfortunately, how any human works. You and me, we can't work on a global level, but we can work on a communal level, and that's super important. Community, especially, like I said, with COVID, where one of the first things to go is community, because nothing is in person, or was in person. It's kind of back and forth at this point, but nothing's in person really. It's so much easier online to not care about people, because having that face to face makes you feel the other person's humanity more, assuming that you're not a psychopath. But being online adds an extra layer, but that means we have to work harder, because you have to keep that community in any way, shape, or form. And that doesn't mean you have to be an influencer with 1 million followers and post happy things all the time. It means being there for the people around you and letting them know that the correct thing to do is being empathetic towards others, because when people see you acting in a certain way, it imprints upon them, upon their brain, upon their soul. And everything that we do, every bit of the world around us that we ingest is imprinted on us, whether we like it or not, which is a separate discussion on curating the things that you see. Because if you just see sad and aggressive and nasty things all the time, that's going to form you, whether you want it to or not. But that's a different discussion. But by doing things for the people around you that show some sort of empathy, some sort of kindness, making a statement that this is the action, this is how things should be, you imprint that upon them, and then eventually it's going to, to use a cliched metaphor, water, you throw water on a rock, it doesn't do anything, but a drop of water that drips on a rock for a year, for 10 years, for 100 years, it's going to go right through it. It's going to eventually just make a hole through the rock. And that's how things go. That's how it works for anything. You just need to keep on hammering away at the message until people get it through their thick skulls that this is the way the way for people to act. And it works better if you have some sort of sway in a community. But even if you don't, even if it's just, you're an NPC in someone else's video game, you're still, by repeating that message over and over when they talk to you, when they walk up to you and you say the same thing again and again, it's eventually going to stick in their minds. And it's important to, whether you're the main character or the NPC or a side character or whatever in your story, however you view your life, doing things that are positive, are empathetic towards people, makes a huge difference. Not just for the people that you are being kind to, because obviously that changes their lives drastically. I know any bit of kindness anyone does for me, it makes my day and it changes my world. And I don't say that lightly. It really does. Like, the fact that anybody will take time out of their life to do anything for me is mind-boggling to me. And I appreciate everything so much that everyone does. But it's not only that, but for the people that around you that see you doing nice things, they'll imprint upon that behavior, and they might try to copy it for the people for the person you're doing it for, or for the people around them. They'll see the behavior and they'll copy it. So we have to try to do better in the behaviors that we have, and that's just something that people just copy trends like that in general, like doing fan art for a certain person, and like if enough people start doing fan art for someone, then it becomes like a big thing, that everyone wants to do it, and it could be absolutely purposeless, but it's something that people feel a community for, so they get in on it. So if you're going to make community for something, you may as well make it a positive thing, and a way to do that is empathy. Just by trying to understand the pain or feel the pain that people have around you, you're better able to serve whatever purpose they need for help, or just to know how to not make things worse. And by caring, it puts it to the people around you. It puts that idea out that this is how you live your life. And it's not easy, and it's not always easy to do it for everyone around you, especially when people have idiosyncrasies. And I'm not perfect, obviously. I have had to work on this a lot in my life, but even if you're not perfect at something, you have to still keep on trying. You have to have that empathy. Otherwise, you've lost your humanity. Your purpose should be to be like, humans in general need that community. They need to be together, and you can't have that without that empathy. So whatever you're doing, whether it's social media or a job that you have, or just going to the store, and how you treat the people that you get services from, a store or customer service or whatever, even people at banks and health insurance. If we all need to just treat each other with more empathy, and stop the erosion of society that's been going on the past many years at this point. Again, we can't all have the power to stop it at a global or even a national level, but stopping the erosion at a communal level has ripples that go so much further out than we even know. The people that we touch, and then they, touch other people, and it becomes a giant web of interconnection. But it has to start with you, because you can't rely on other people to do things. You have to start. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world, and be the example. It's easy, not easy, and it sucks sometimes, but you have to be the example of the good that you hope that is in the world, or that can be in the world. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. I really hope that we can all work to make things better for everyone, because it's hard to see the pain of the people around you, especially people you love, and the more empathy we have, is the more ability we'll have to prevent these things from continuing. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and be good to each other and stay awesome. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.